So amongst all the other stuff I've got to do on this thing, I decided to go manual instead of auto. I figured it'd be a bit easier than getting the auto like rebuilt and revalved and stuff, so it's manual and they're just funner. Manuals are just funner. I don't care what anyone says. Autos are fast, sure, but there's nothing like mashing through the gears. So I got to rip the auto out of this. No doubt all the mounts that I made for the auto trans and stuff aren't going to line up. If they do, then it's some sort of miracle. So yeah, get stuck into it.
Once the automatic transmission is removed, the manual gearbox is lifted and bolted onto the engine. With the gearbox in place, the crossmember can now start to be pieced together. Using some 50x25 box section for the cross brace and some 50mm angle for the legs that run along the chassis. The crossmember pieces are offered up to the original gearbox rubber mount and chassis. They are then tacked in place and then removed for finishing welds. After the crossmember is made, 4 holes are drilled into the chassis and captive nuts welded in, making for a solid mount that's easy to remove and refit. In the interest of cost and simplicity, the majority of the Commodore components are reused and modified to fit. A series of holes are drilled into the floor pan for the selector ball and cup. Then the gear selector linkage and shifter brace are chopped, modified, braced and re-welded to suit the different geometry of the Chevy's body.
up my clutch today. Went for a Exceedi cushion button, heavy duty thing. I ran one of these on my old Patrol. It made like 275 to the tyres through 31s and four-wheel drive transmissions and stuff, so if it can hold up to a couple hundred horsepower, surely this little thing can. Of course, it's got the flywheel machine. It's a no-brainer. Don't put a new clutch in with that machine in the flywheel. It's a bad idea.
The engine is once again coming out to allow for the clutch to be fitted and provide space to fabricate a mount for the clutch master cylinder. As the old gearbox used a series of linkages and cables to operate the clutch, there is no provisions for a hydraulic cylinder on the firewall. A small box is bent up on the sheet metal brake. This will provide a flat surface to mount to, and once some additional bracing is added, a much more rigid space for the master cylinder. After a bit of air saw action, uncomfortable welding, and trusty matte black pressure pack, the mount is done. It's not pretty, but it works. The old Commodore clutch pedal is chopped up, rearranged, and glued back together with the hot metal gun, as the Chevy pedal did not sit in the correct location for the master cylinder clevers. Some fluid is added and the clutch bled after the reservoir is mounted and some new fittings flared onto the original clutch hose. The engine is now ready to be refitted and components reconnected. The mighty 3.8 was a bit loud, so an exhaust out of the local muffler shop scrap bin was chopped and repurposed. This will likely be temporary due to the fitting of an exhaust-driven wind snail in the future. After the clutch and gearbox are tested, a tail shaft is required. Commodore drive shaft is about 250mm too long, and the uni-joint flange bolt pattern is different. So after a quick beverage, a beer can was converted into an adapter flange through the process of alchemy. This allowed the drive shaft to bolt to the original diff, as each side had its own individual bolt pattern. The CV flange is removed from the Commodore drive shaft, the required length measured approximately 47 times, then the tube is cut down, cleaned up and re-welded. Once the drive shaft is fitted, the little dunger is put on its feet, slapped on the back, and sent outside to catch some rays.
Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. It was awesome to get this thing driving under its own power out of the shed. It's an awesome feeling after having it sit around for like 18 months. So Unfortunately, I can't take it on the road yet. There's no brakes, so it's super sketchy. I have to use the handbrake, get it in and out of the shed. So next video, it might actually make it onto the road, provided I can get all this brake system done, which I'm going to start doing now. I can actually take it out, get it up to speed, and give it a good test. Yeah, thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe, hit the button, do all the things, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.